Dr. Muhammad Azam is Assistant Professor and former Head of the Department of Politics and International Relations, University of Sargodha, Punjab. He has been a visiting fellow at the Gulf Research Center, Dubai, UAE in 2010. As a research officer, he has served at the National Assembly Secretariat as well. And Dr. Azam will be talking to us on security dilemma in Sino-Indian, Indo-Pak and Pak-Afghan relations, a challenge for regional integration and connectivity. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me just see whether the slides are working. Okay. Honorable Chair, my fellow presenters, conference organizers, Pakistani and Chinese brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Ni hao. Today my topic is security dilemma in Sino-Indian, Indo-Pak and Pak-Afghan relations, a challenge for regional integration and connectivity. Let me just request the chair that last week through an email, Dr. Muzammal Zia had given us 12 minutes. So I have prepared for 10 minutes, please. So 2 minutes margin is requested. Yes. Security dilemma in Sino-Indian, Indo-Pak and Pak-Afghan relations, a challenge for regional integration and connectivity. I'll not go into the details of the theoretical framework and literature review due to the shortage of time, but I would like to just explain few things. That the theory of the security dilemma is propounded by John Herz, Robert Jervis, Schweller, Snyder, Acharya and many others. But Robert Jervis is the main theorist who has elaborated the theory in detail. So according to the theory, the states do not trust each other. They fear the ambitions of others, which keeps the states from cooperating with each other. It leads to armaments and arms races, and so on and so forth. So some of the details I would be discussing during my presentation. The three security dilemmas. The first is between China and India, the second is between India and Pakistan, and the third is between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Collectively, I identify these three security dilemmas as the grand security dilemma or the grand Asian security dilemma, and which prevails in this region, which comprises China, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, which can also be called the CPA region. It is not, I have in fact created this abbreviation, CPA region. It is not famous. So this security dilemma is multi-layered and multi-dimensional. According to the theory, several factors influence the amelioration and exacerbation of the security dilemma among the states. I have prepared this list. Among these factors are the geographic factor and buffer zones, adversarial perceptions of other states, revisionary foreign policies, excessively broad concept of security, arms races, power competition, type of weapons, balancing, high costs of war, the cost of loss of sovereignty, gains from cooperation, the nuclear factor, the ideological factor, political culture, political instability, and domestic concerns. So among the factors are these ones. Robert Jervis explains the security of other states declines when one state's security rises. China's competition with the United States requires a corresponding upgrade in armaments, and increasing China's security decreases India's security. And India acquires more defense equipment because it compares with China. Indian armaments reduce Pakistan's security because it competes with India. Pakistan's armaments pose a challenge to Afghanistan. Afghanistan has been in competition with Pakistan since the latter's creation. Afghanistan plunged into decades of wars and civil wars due to its pursuit of armaments for pursuing its ambitions vis-a-vis territorial claims against Pakistan. Robert Jervis further explains the security dilemma is mitigated by impenetrable barriers. There are very few such barriers on the India-Pakistan border, but not even the Himalayas proved to be impenetrable, and a war took place between China and India in 1962, as all of us know. So, because of its geographic location, Robert Jervis explains, the Britain was able to observe the turmoil on the continent with relative calm. The states under consideration here, China, India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, they are not fortunate enough in this sense. Our geography is the opposite of the Britain. Robert Jervis further explains, oceans, wide rivers, and mountain ranges lessen the impact of the security dilemma, which all serve as buffer zones. The border regions of India and Pakistan on the other side of the border have no such buffers, which adds to the security dilemma, especially for Pakistan, because Pakistan's strategic depth is much less than India and China. Other states may get alarmed by efforts to create buffer zones, explains Jervis. If India, China, and Pakistan, they try to push their pickets further, the other states are alarmed. A state that has a tendency to view a certain other state as an enemy will respond more forcefully and more rapidly than a state that views its surroundings favorably. Since these states under consideration, they see their rivals as their enemies, so they respond to their armaments more swiftly. So it adds to the security dilemma. Now, revisionism in these states. Schweller adds to the theory of the security dilemma and explains that revisionist states are open to using armed force to overthrow the current system of relations between states. All four states under study, they are revisionists because all of them have claims, territorial claims against their rivals, and all of these four states, they want to revise the existing boundaries or the line of control. So it is another aspect which exacerbates the existing security dilemma. So none of these four states is a status quo state. These are revisionary states. China and India have used military force on several occasions. India and Pakistan have used military force more frequently. And the threat of military conflict between India and Pakistan has existed in the past. And still our border is not peaceful. One side in the same group never takes arms of the other state meant for self-preservation. And this cannot happen in any group of two states which have territorial claims and border disputes among themselves. Robert Jervis poses another question. What is the major loss of a strategy of reacting swiftly and rapidly to the armaments of other states? In his view, the loss of the potential benefits of cooperation, it is the biggest loss which occurs due to the security dilemma. And none of the three pairs is even close to being able to cooperate meaningfully in any area except that trade between China and India has increased. Being revolutionary states, these states are power maximizers. So they are not just concerned with their security, they want to maximize their powers. Schweller further adds, when one or more states have objectives other than a desire for security, conflict is implied and it exists. Since the goal of the states at issue is other than mutual security, i.e. the revision of the existing boundaries, so the relations are marked by real conflict. Revisionary states cause recurrent balances of power. And we have been experiencing balancing behavior among these states. For example, Afghanistan and India's close military relation with the Soviet Union, and India's close military relation with the United States, particularly after the Sino-Indian War of 1962, and Pakistan's accession of SEATO and CENTO, and Pakistan's close military relations with China. These are also these explain the balancing behavior of these states when they try to restore the balance of power. If two states have only defensive weapons, they do not run into the security dilemma. Offensive weapons aggravate the security dilemma. Yes. So revisionist states cannot resist the urge to have offensive weapons. Acharya adds, rational states can overcome the difficulties. Rational states can overcome the difficulties brought on by mistrust and bring uncertainty to levels where it no longer prevents cooperation. So it did not happen in the cases under study. So I'm skipping some of the points and coming directly to my last points. Now the question is, how do the three security dilemmas impede regional integration and connectivity? The theory of the security dilemma also answers this question. Fear of exploitation drives the security dilemma most strongly. As we saw, Russia threatened European states to stop gas supplies in the height of the winter after the Ukrainian invasion. So a disputed border does not facilitate the flow of people, goods, knowledge, and ideas. Few roads and no railroads are seen as Afghanistan's non-conducting qualities. Buffers are valued for the same reason, explains Jervis. So states caught in the security dilemma treat the border regions as buffer zones. Border regions are kept underdeveloped so that the enemy army cannot use the roads and railroads. Regional integration and connectivity requires the opposite. It requires highways, railways, border crossings. So this way, regional integration suffers. So what is the way forward? My conclusion. The theory of security dilemma also suggests something on this. Robert Jervis explains that two types of states can trust others easily. Number one, the states which are less vulnerable to surprise attacks, and the states which can afford to be tricked in a deal. So with their large territories and with their nuclear deterrence, China and India have greater strategic depth. And nuclear deterrence provides Pakistan with a cushion against Afghanistan. And Afghanistan also has a cushion. It has its war history and war capacity and its non-conducting features. So all of the three pairs of states, they can take the risk and they can go forward to have cooperation with their rivals, and they can integrate with each other. And lastly, attempts can be made to construct different individual and national identities to overcome the security dilemma. With this, I thank the organizers for providing me this wonderful opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think now, as promised, we have had three very good speeches, and it's about time that we request Dr. Liu Zhongyi, our discussant, to give his comments on the presentations and overall on the subject itself. Dr. Liu.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to do some comments to the speakers. Dr. Azam, you analysis the security dilemma among China, India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. From my perspective, I think you emphasized too much on some physical factors and did not mention psychological or ideal factors in the so-called security dilemma among these countries. But from my understanding, I think the physical or ideal factor play very important roles in the security dilemma in these countries, because we can find that currently it's Indian nationalism or Hindu-Tava played very important roles in the security dilemma in this region. This is my first comment, and my second comment is that I think when we write a paper and do some political analysis, I think we must have a correct stance. Because from your presentation, I think you define China and Pakistan as revisionist. Actually, I don't agree with you. I don't think China is a revisionist. And I also don't think Pakistan is a revisionist. So I think the political correct is important for our scholars, especially for our scholars focused on political issues. We can find now in the so-called security dilemma, especially against the background of China-United States geostrategic competition, India would like to find some opportunities. So their foreign policy is full of opportunism. We must, I think we must emphasize that. And my question to you is that how to build mutual trust among these countries? Thank you very much.